We'd like to get them out there so they can move one step closer to their college. Oh, here's stuff right here. Their college opportunities. Brother.
Yo, what's good?
Man, ain't nothing, man. I thought the kids were putting you to bed.
Man, yeah, that's usually how it's been around here. But today I got the upper hand, so it's all good.
Nah, bro, I know what you're talking about, brother.
Can you hear me?
I appreciate you getting on, man. Yeah, I hear you. You hear me?
All right, cool.
Nah, I appreciate you getting on, brother. I'm going to jump right into it, man, because I got some questions that I ain't asked you when I was playing with you.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to talk real quick. I do this because, you know, I do a lot with kids and youth, and I think it's important for parents to hear, you know, different stories and different, you know, objectives when it comes to process. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you right away was, you know, when you were growing up, how was your amateur experience? You know, was it something? What was some of the things that you went through at an early stage? Obviously, with your dad playing in the pros. But what were some of the things that you went through? Did you play a lot? Did you train? Or was it a mixture of both?
There's a mixture of both. So it kind of, I mean, it starts with I played multiple sports and loved like getting exposed to different skill sets, different roles on teams, finding like my way when I got challenged. And you play with, you know, a lot of different teammates and stuff. You start to obviously build bonds, but you start to learn a lot about who you are as a competitor and who you are as, in terms of your work ethic and stuff. So like basketball specifically, played on all the like local YMCA leagues until I was about 8, and then I started playing AAU and played AAU between 9 and 13. And on those teams, like I wasn't the best player, but I was on the starting lineup. Very confident in myself, but physically I just wasn't all the way there, and had a very specific role in most teams just to shoot threes. But it was a cool vibe at that point where, like to your question, nothing was kind of given a guarantee. I had that grinded out mentality from the time I was a kid because of my stature, because of my size. But I was always kind of juxtaposed with who my dad was and the whole deal. Like, oh, when people walked in the gym, they knew who I was. But I always didn't match up in my head. And it was really, really confusing at the time. Like, why are they worried about me? And, you know, I'm just, you know, one of the guys type of vibes. But when I got to 13 is when I had kind of a decision. The system was getting a little diluted in Charlotte, and there was a lot of politics and stuff going on. And from my standpoint, I felt like I wasn't getting as much out of like the travel kind of situation, and my skill set wasn't improving. I was playing, but I didn't feel like I was getting better. And so from 13 to 16, I played school ball, but you know, in the summers, all I did was trained. I had a guy in Charlotte. His name was Scotty Scott. It's crazy. I'm bringing all back the old memories. I remember him. He trained me like 4 times a week, and the rest of the time I go play pickup and stuff. But I never did the travel team. It was just trying to want to get stronger, get a little bit better, get my skill set right. And then when I knew around, you know, recruiting time, from 16 through the middle of my senior year in high school, that was when I could kind of get back in the circuits and get in the summer travel teams and AAU and hoop and play that way. So for me, that was the best thing for me because I thankfully had people around me that could or point me in the right direction in terms of, you know, what was important at those different stages throughout my, you know, my development. And that's not the same. That's not the right. There's different routes for everybody, and trial and error is the best thing, man. So like for me, that was kind of part of the journey. And when I came back 16 through on, I felt like my skill set was ready to then show how much of a competitor I was and how much I wanted to win and be able to kind of spend those next 3 years trying to get a scholarship.
Now, how was you know, and 100% I agree with you. I was just talking to another person beforehand about everybody's situation being different, right? And in comparison to no one else, your situation, your situation. How was it for you? Were you highly rated coming through school, or just?
You see the shirt I got on? It said underrated, right? I think
oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. I forgot. That's the reason why you did that. But it was more. I wanted to ask a question because, I get it why parents are so into rankings because it does bring value, but it's not all in and to a point where you got to feel like that's the only way that you can be who you are today or anybody else that has success, having success at the highest level. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think I mean you hit the nail on the head. It's just I wasn't highly touted. I was a 3-star recruit coming out. I was ranked 200 and 200. I forget. I looked it up a couple years ago. I was 200 something in my state, so I wasn't even like. Sorry, my class, not my. It's the 200 in my class, but like going like that wasn't even a thing on my radar. Like when I got back on the circuit, I remember just one game after somebody coming up taking a picture. I'm like, yo, what's that for? And like, oh, for this recruiting site, we got to rank everybody and all that. And that was the first and last time I actually really realized about it. But to your point, like it's not black and white, right? It's not. It doesn't all the way matter, and it does. Like there's some kind of gray in between of like understanding that your journey and your development. It may be something that you've had that momentum since you were 12 and everybody's talking about you, and no matter what gym you come into, they know about you. Or it could be, you're a late bloomer like I was, where you're just looking for some opportunity. And for me, like the biggest message is that's easy for me to say, but if you're in it, like it obviously it matters, right? Kids want to know, they're going to look it up and they want to see, and they want to have that kind of talking point like, yo, I'm better than him because X, Y, Z. But like, the confidence that I had when I walked in the gym was like I was the #1 recruit. And I feel like I could play with anybody. It didn't matter what my number was. And you can get caught up in that thinking that's going to determine your future. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer, like you're going to end up where you're supposed to be if you approach the process in the right way. And when, unfortunate part about it right now, it's everything's just so exposed, and there aren't any secrets in terms of, you can always find somebody saying something great about you. You can find somebody talking trash about you. And it's going to be right there on your phone. You're going to see it. We didn't have that back. We didn't have that. Like it was all guesswork. So I feel for the kids now coming up, because that's a tough place to be when you're really trying to, find yourself and whatnot. But you work, man, you put the time in. It may not look glamorous, it may not look pretty, but you're gonna pass the eye test when people come in the gym and watch you play and know that, okay, this dude, he is the guy, girl, they love to hoop, they love to win, they it matters to them, and then that'll start to pick up steam. And next thing you know, you'll be right where you need to be.
100%, brother. I mean, again, you hit it right on the head. When it comes to people's level of, whatever your commitment is, whatever your goals is, you put your head down and you go after it, right? And everybody's development is different. I remember having to take dancing classes my freshman year because I couldn't play at all. I shot
no footwork,
no footwork, no nothing, bro. And to think about it now, I went from that
to getting drafted.
I was 6'1", going to 6'10" in the 4-month span. Didn't know how to play, to being drafted out of high school, 3 years later. Right. Again, it happens like that, but your focus has to be laser sharp. And, and that's what the parents got to just, remember when they're looking at Twitter or Instagram, somebody else getting something. Don't be persuaded because they're going through that. Just stay focused on what you're supposed to go through.
Absolutely, man.
How much of an influence did you always want to be pro? Or was it heavily influenced because your dad was pro?
It was definitely influenced by him because I grew up going to games. I grew up in the locker room, meeting all his teammates. I was always in the gym. I had a ball in my hand. So, that was always the vision, right? But it was never until I was basically in high school, it was never like, all right, I'm going to do this, and this to make it there. I just love the game. And that sounds cheesy and corny and the whole deal, but, literally,
that's facts.
I was blessed that I actually just love to play basketball, right?
Right.
And I didn't really put that extra pressure on myself too soon to be like, all right, I actually got to enjoy being a kid, which was dope. So for me, like just being in the gym playing, like obviously I got to see the highest level every day, and that definitely helped me. But I didn't rush it, and you know, really the best part about it was like nowadays, you know, you got all the people doing like the YouTube videos showing their workouts and stuff, and like you get to see highlights of it. But I got to see like the work that those dudes put in on a daily at the highest level. And so like it almost makes you uncomfortable because like if you're thinking I'm 9, 10, 11, 12 years old and you see guys in the gym, you realize like they driving these nice cars, they got these big houses, they got all this stuff, but they in here actually like grinding every day. It was like an actual, it was a, not I actually didn't think about it. It was a great message to me that like, even at this highest level, they're still working like they don't have nothing. And that was cool for me because I it gave me a sense of appreciation for the journey because and like not taking for granted whatever level of basketball I got to play on, because I'm saying if I can make it, if they've made it to that level and they're still, you know, putting the time in and don't feel like they got it made, like, man, what am I doing?
Man, I'm telling you, what people don't realize too is that it's always somebody new coming into the league.
Absolutely.
Right. And so the consistency, no matter what you have, the consistency of what you got to bring to the table each and every day doesn't change.
Pressure, man. 60 guys come in every year. Like there's 60 jobs wide open. You got to maintain your position. And that's not even an every year. That's an every night thing too. Like,
yeah. hey, that's why we try to tell people. I've been trying to tell parents this all the time. Look, man, like you want to see what you got now, right? You want to build the core and character of your kid now, like you're teaching them how to read, write, and multiply. In sports, this is the same thing. Put them in the fire because they're going to have to figure out a way to be consistent. You can't parent your way through this process. You just can't. Like, either your kid's going to be good based off what they do, or what they don't do, or they're not. It's simple.
They need that support. They need the love. They need tough love at times. They need to be, because like no kid has it all the way figured out, and you got to be that presence for sure. But you can't predetermine or hold their hand, you know, through this whole process. Because and that's why you see the guys that come on, get drafted and all that. They appreciate the parents that allowed them to figure it out on their own, but was always consistent with their presence, right? And just found a way to motivate without putting too much pressure on them. There's a subtle balance to that for sure.
How was, and I know we got about, this ends in about 13 minutes, but I want to ask you a couple key ones real quick on these two. How was your transition from high school to college, and then obviously your first couple of years where, you know, I think you had a couple injuries that you had to figure out, but how was that transition, and then how was your mindset approaching both transitions?
From high school to college, it was a lot easier, to be honest. Like I went to Davidson, small D1 school, it was 1,800, 1,900 students. We were in the Southern Conference. Our program just graduated 7 seniors. I loved my coach, and I loved everything that he said about what he could do for me in terms of getting the most out of me on the court, off the court. And so I bought into the vision of like his presence, you know, at the school. And all on top of that, I knew I was going to play right away. If it wasn't going to be given to me, but the opportunity was there. It's a big difference between, you know, handouts and having an opportunity to go and get it. The opportunity was great, and I picked it for a reason, but I had to go grind. But the speed of the game that's the most consistent thing from both sides. It was extremely tough, especially at the point guard position, because you're responsible for so many decisions and trying to make the right play at the right time and balance and scoring for me and shooting, scoring and facilitating. So that on court, that was the biggest adjustments. And then for me, time management was the hardest thing for both transitions, because, you know, at school, classes and all that, and you still got to, you know, find that time to work on your game, and the hours are crazy, and it seems, you know, daunting at times. You gotta be disciplined about every single step of the way. And then when you get to the league, it seems like you got too much free time, and you got to learn how to stay productive, keep your mind on right, and not start feeling yourself too much before, you know, it's deserved. So, yeah, man, it's the best thing about it is just having the right people around you, whether it's teammates, whether it's family, whether it's, you know, friends or people that are going to be loyal but also tell you the truth. about what you're doing, like that part. Big huge reasons why I felt like I had success on both levels.
Yeah, and I think really the most part is just the kind of person you are. And I remember walking in the gym when I got to Golden State, and it was you and Clay out there shooting the one goal. Then I think Draymond was a little bit further down.
Yeah.
I remember all of this young talent in the gym, and it's rare in the NBA because when you put too much young talent together, that's chemistry for like disaster. But you guys was just different. And when I hear people say things like you ruined the game, I'm like, he gave the game something different than it's had, which created a new part for the game. But also what I tell people like my son who wants to shoot all threes now, or whatever kid, is the level of commitment that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson have in their craft is incredible. And talk a little bit about that and just kind of talk about your ritual. I mean, because I know you had a ritual like if it hit the rim, it don't count, right? And I remember y'all telling me, I was like, wait, what? If it hit the rim, it don't count. And just tell about that tedious process that you go through.
Sometimes I don't even know how to explain it because it's just a process that I rely on so much, and it's like a feeling of one. I love it, like as much as I love the game and hitting big shots and winning games and all that. Like sometimes you are dead tired, sometimes you're not really motivated, but when you're in that that workout or that shooting session or whatever it is, like I absolutely love it and I get lost in it. And so KD actually talked about it a couple years ago. He was like, it's so therapeutic in the sense of like when you get lost in your craft and finding like new ways to challenge yourself, to shock your body, to try to get to that next level, whatever it is. It takes some creativity, it takes consistency, it takes commitment. And to your point, like I had that from the jump, but it was only even amplified because I had guys around me that had the same kind of mentality. So like you said, Clay, Draymond, KD, even like Sean and Andre, it showed itself a different way. Like they were so committed to their game, but maybe that was taking care of their body, maybe that was talking to one of the young guys and helped the betterment of the whole team. And on top of the skill development and all that type of stuff, like everything was disciplined and was intentional and purposeful. So I felt like I've always had that work ethic, but as I got into higher levels of the game, you want to surround yourself with people that you feel like are better than you. Or I shouldn't say that. I feel like I'm better than anybody, but have the talent and the skill to kind of keep up. That are going to challenge you.
Same mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that it'll keep you on edge, really, because you can have this perceived like enemy and competition, all that. But if the guy right next to you wants it as bad as you do, it's only going to come out, in you even more. So
iron sharpens iron.
That's the verse.
Sure. That's for sure. I remember having this conversation. I don't know if you remember this. I remember we were in the practice gym, and I said, Steph, man, and again, I was just blown away because you just typically don't see young teams like that, right? That committed. And I've been around so many great players, played with so many great players, had my run as well. I remember the conversation. I said, Steph, if you take this team and you lead them,
I do remember that.
You're gonna win MVP and y'all gonna win the championship.
I absolutely remember that. And I tell people all the time, that year the year before we had come off the Western Conference semis run to beating the Spurs, and then we came back and we took the Clippers. We were Game 7 in the first round, and like it was a eye-opening experience for one to have a vet give me that vote of confidence, because I was still, like, honestly at that point I'm still figuring it out as a leader, as like the guys I gotta have to be on every single night at that level, and like the pressures and expectations that come with that. But like when you get Iron Sharpens Iron, you get people around you that can bring that out of you, can plant a little seed of something that is your job to kind of take that and make it into reality. Like that was the year that it all kind of clicked and changed, and not only the message for me, but like that what you said to me, and then I take that and kind of process it and show it by how I handle myself, the work that I put in and all that, that becomes contagious for everybody else. And like whatever, you might not even say it personally to anybody else, but like you said, somebody take the reins for it and take it and run. That's what I tried to do. And I've had an amazing, journey being, with guys that see the best in me, and the way that I try to lead is try to bring the best out of everybody else. So it's pretty dope to see that come full circle. And now I'm sitting here 12 years or 11 years in, like trying to figure out a
it goes by fast too. And I'm gonna tell you, bro, when Steve Kerr got hired, he called me. I remember he had called me. I was outside at my house, and I knew mentally I couldn't do it anymore. But I remember having that conversation. I was like, man, I said, they about to win this thing, because you guys were just, you were hurt and you were angry about the loss.
Mm-hmm.
2 straight years, and that level of talent going at the level that they were doing, is I knew it. I almost had like a tear in my eye, because when you won, I was like, damn, I probably should have went. Probably should have went back for another year. But I was like, all right, it wasn't meant for me.
Hey, bro, I'm gonna have you in the dock one day. I'm gonna have you in there.
I appreciate it. And we got about 3-4 minutes. Hey, 5 years, 5 finals, and then obviously this year was a tough year, but I look at it as just a break. You guys needed a break physically. Talk quickly on that experience for both 5 years of 3 championships in 5 years. And then having the year that you guys had last year, and kind of what you're looking for next year.
Yeah, man, it's exciting times. Like you said, 5 years run. Couldn't imagine that would be, the situation. Forever grateful for the wins and the losses, because it was an amazing experience. And like you said, we wanted to come in this year, prove a lot of people wrong. We had some roster turnover, a lot of young guys. Obviously, injuries happened. Now we're in the suspension, so it's everybody's kind of in some uncertainty. But for us, big picture, like, we know we're not done. Myself, Clay, Draymond, the core that's been here from day one. Like, we're gonna do everything that we got in our power to. It's gonna look different. It's gonna have some new cast of characters that are gonna contribute at a high level. But the DNA and just the chemistry that us three have we're gonna be in good shape coming out of this, no matter how basketball looks, because it's kind of just wild talking about it, not even knowing when we're gonna play coming out of this virus. So I think I'm excited about it, just knowing that where we're at, what we've been through, with all the lessons that we've learned, knowing that we got a lot left in the tank. And yeah, kind of like a message for all the young guys and girls out here that want to just hoop and play and compete. Like, it's gonna come back, and what you do now is going to be instrumental and so valuable to what you're going to be, whenever that time comes. So keep grinding, even when nobody's looking. When it's hard, get motivated. When you're at home all day, like, make sure you keep the big picture in mind. What you want to be is only determined by the amount of the good decisions that you layer on top of each other every single day. So use this time wisely as best you can, because it's going to come back.
Yep. Well, Steph, man, I appreciate you, brother, man. You keep being who you are, which makes you, one of the greatest this world has ever seen. Just keep being the person that you are, man, because you're leading so many people. You impacted so many people, brother. And again, I appreciate you getting on and doing this.
I appreciate you, JR. All the best to you and your family. And we'll do it again soon, man.
Yes, sir. All right. Tell everybody, say what's up.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Yeah, we got about 48 seconds left, and I got to jump into another call. But hey, appreciate you guys being on. Again, we do this to give you guys information, give you guys messages that you need to hear. If you're an aspiring athlete, get it from the source. And people like Steph, and all other, Ray and Paul George and Shaq and everybody that we've had on, including the high school athletes and college athletes, absorb all of that information. Use it to the best of your ability, and then go be who you want to be. I appreciate you guys. I'm looking to get back on Wednesday. Got more special guests. Have your questions for me. We'll be ready to go. Appreciate you. All right, y'all be safe out there.